Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to join the webinar, Pushing the Boundaries Machine Assistant Advances in MRI Imaging and Simulation, the third installment of Connected series, which focuses on the best Sino-Swiss collaboration projects and research efforts. My name is Li Bing. I'm Head of Academic Relations at SwissNext China, Science Consulate of Switzerland in China. We connect the dots between Switzerland and China in education, research, and innovation. Today, we are very honored to have two distinguished researchers in biomedical engineering to present the latest development of their research in AI-based solutions for medical image analysis, as well as computational model and their applications. Please allow me to introduce them. Our first speaker will be Professor Dr. Mauricio Reyes, Associate Professor at the Aristotle Center for Biomedical Engineering Research of the Medical Faculty of the University of Bern. He is leading the data science team at Insel Data Science Center of the University Hospital Inselspital. His research focuses on basic and applied machine learning technologies, as well as biomedical engineering solutions to improve healthcare through medical image computation technologies. In his talk, Professor Dr. Reyes will describe his collaboration with Malong Technologies, a Chinese award-winning AI startup based in Shenzhen, in the development of advanced AI technologies for medical imaging application. Welcome, Professor Dr. Reyes.
Thank you very much.
Our second speaker will be Professor Dr. Tianwu Xie, researcher at the Institute of Radiation Medicine, Fudan University. He received his PhD from Huazhong University of Science and Technology and held a postdoctoral fellowship at University of Geneva. Professor Dr. Xie is currently conducting research in collaboration with the Geneva University Hospital. His research focuses on radiation dosimetry in medical physics and development of computational models for animal and human. So one kind reminder to our audience, at the bottom of the Zoom interface, you can find the Q&A function. So please type in your questions during the webinar and we will answer them in the Q&A session. Without further ado, I would like to give the word to Professor Dr. Reyes. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me, for the kind introduction. I prepared a few slides to explain the collaboration, the very nice collaboration we have started with Malong in Shenzhen since now a couple of years. So I'm gonna go through some of the highlights of this collaboration, and I look forward also to receive your questions later on. So everything started through a ceremony end of 2018. This was happening in China, where the University of Bern and the company Malong Medical joined efforts. So this was also, I had to thank all the contributors who helped in this, in making this a reality. You can see here a picture of the signing ceremony. So it's really a privilege and an honor actually to having to receive this possibility of working together with such an innovative and talented group of people. What's our vision together working with Malong? We would like to actually achieve to be the world's most robust and accurate AI system for imaging applications. And at the same time, we want to provide the best quality assurance technology for AI in medicine. So the main keywords here are we want to be accurate in the provision of data from AI systems. Reliability is very important, it's very crucial. Systems that can evolve as technologies also evolve in medical imaging, and safety. Patient safety is paramount importance, and for us, this is one of the most important aspects of our collaboration. Now, how do we see AI in medicine and especially in medical imaging? Well, here there are a few examples and a few illustrations I want to share with you.
Well, the complexity of interpreting medical images is often very high, time-consuming, and ultimately not possible in the daily routine. This leads to simplifications that need to be made. Let me give you an example in neuro-oncology. In brain tumors, disease progression is assessed by measuring the size of the tumor. However, such a process would require a radiologist to manually segment the tumor, which is, well, just not visible in the daily practice. Therefore, the accepted simplification has been to use two-dimensional measures of the tumor. Now, studies have shown that this is not a good idea, and that severe biases can be introduced in the interpretation of brain tumor images. What can we do about it? I'm glad you asked. Here is where interdisciplinary efforts come into play. Rather than asking doctors to perform the tedious and time-consuming task of segmenting a brain tumor image, why don't we train a computer to do the task? But how does it work? First, data is prepared by asking an expert to identify and segment brain lesions. Here is basically the step where human intelligence is extracted. This step is indeed time-consuming, but the good news is that this step is performed only once. Once this is done, a machine learning algorithm is used to find a mapping between the image content and the information annotated by the expert. This phase is known as training, and the result is a computer model that can now reproduce the annotation task from the expert. As the expert implicitly does, the machine extracts image features that provide cues about the presence of the pathology. These features can be pre-designed using collected prior knowledge through the dialogue between engineers and doctors, or can be extracted automatically using modern machine learning technologies. The particularity is that the number of features can be very high, with hundreds or thousands of them being used to reproduce the expert's annotations. But as computers are known to be fast at, well, computing, it is not a problem to collect these massive amounts of data to learn to solve the task. Once the training phase is finished, the computer model can be used on new unseen images, providing a fast and accurate image analysis. It is very important at this point to mention that the vision is not to exchange doctors with machines, but actually to empower them. The key is that human and machine intelligence work together. In our group, this vision is being investigated and translated into solutions for practitioners in need of brain lesion quantification technology. This includes, for instance, a better understanding of diseases through data mining of medical image data, improving healthcare by supporting the decision-making process of radiologists, assisting clinical trials to better assess the efficacy of new treatments.
So as you saw there, this requires an interdisciplinary effort, an interdisciplinary team that we are now setting up. This is our vision together with Malong, to have not only data scientists, AI experts, but also we need clinical knowledge. We need to involve centers who extract the information, who know about the pathology, but as well we need to have the whole group of expertise that comes from stakeholders that can help us to certify the technologies, that can help us to translate these technologies into clinical applications. Let me show you some of the examples that Malong, they have already been proposing for applications where you want to automate, for example, assessment of deformity in the column. And this, rather than doing it manually in a tedious manner, you can now just directly use a computer that analyzes the images and generates quantification of the disease. We have focused on the first, one of the most important diseases that happen also in Asia is a stroke. The stroke has a high incidence worldwide and particularly high in China. And our efforts now going in this direction, how to actually help doctors in the treatment, prevention of a stroke. And what you see here is some of the now research outputs that come from Malong, what you see on the left, showing the high expertise and the high talent of the team at Malong, where they got the first place in a very challenging competition in the computer vision branch. And then on the right side, also in the medical imaging in a stroke lesion segmentation challenge, where also they rank in the top position. It's been really a pleasure working with Malong. We were also highlighted in the medical image computing community, and our work was also highlighted and selected as an oral presentation last year in Shenzhen, when we show our research and the work we are doing. Now, the next I want to show you is a prototype of the system that we are developing together, and for a stroke. So this is an automated system that locates and quantifies the extent of the lesion. You see this on MRI. The system can automatically now identify it, quantify the size, the volume, the extent, and can perform also a quantification in a few seconds compared to 5 to 10 minutes typically needed by an expert. Stroke requires a very fast process. As people say, time is brain, and therefore AI here can contribute largely to speed up the whole analysis of the information. Now, secondly, I want to emphasize on our interest to perform quality assurance of the technologies. So we want the systems to be safe, to be reliable when used on patients. And here, as the AI technologies evolve, we are discovering more and more new aspects that are new to the research community. And it's in our best interest and our vision to bring that information, so then we are sure that these technologies are safe. I'm going to show you a quick video of the impressions from many researchers and very known people working with AI systems that are highlighting some of the challenges ahead that we are also now tackling.
I think it is difficult to appreciate just how far artificial intelligence has advanced and how far it is advancing AI. I think that that's just going to unlock so much potential in so many different domains.
I resent right now that the neural net wave or deep learning wave has become so predominant that people say, well, that's the way to go. You just collect data and intelligence will work itself out. And that's just not true. I don't believe it.
There are many settings where a deep model trained on enough data that exhibits enough accuracy on test data is all you really need to go, and you don't need to be able to see what's inside that black box. However, there are other settings where that's a very risky thing to do.
Gain the insight. Once that insight is gained, then start applying rules and regulations.
In 2016, Europe passed a new omnibus piece of legislation called the General Data Protection Regulation. Europe treats data protection as a fundamental right, and GDPR is a big deal. They were worried about automated decision-making. The explanation is not possible, that either you can't use the technique or you do so at your own peril. At a certain point, the law is the law.
And we just find that every time we put on this magic glasses where we can see what's inside the model, we find an amazing number of things that are wonderful, but we also see things that are very surprising, very disturbing. And it's just so important to be able to put on the magic glasses in many domains and see these things before you deploy. And then help you try to understand what's in it, open up the black box.
Interpretability of AI system is a fundamental task. We need to leverage the trust of the systems so doctors can adopt them. We need to understand the interpretability of the systems to understand their potential pitfalls and be able to use them in a safe manner. As you saw, last year we organized for the second time a workshop on interpretability of AI systems where we invite people from different domains, from different areas to contribute to this topic. This year also it's been an amazing response from the radiology community who they have actually highlighted our work. We actually reported on the challenges through a dedicated article, and recently, some days ago, there was a lively discussion over Twitter where they host this topic, where they talk about it, and it's been an incredible, and we are very grateful for the amazing response. I'm also very thankful to Malong, who in last year, they sponsored the iMimic workshop, as they also are committed to provide, to understand the systems and to provide safety of the technologies. With this, I'm finalizing my talk. Today, I think everyone has been invited to join, to hear about these technologies. And my call to you is to join us to change healthcare by contributing. This is a multidisciplinary problem, a challenge that requires people from different domains. Stakeholders are required, are needed, and AI specialists, specialists from the medical domain, and so on. So it's been a pleasure sharing with you this information, and I hope that this can also motivate you and interest you to contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Reyes, for the interesting talk. Now I'm delighted to invite Professor Dr. Tianwu Xie to give his talk. Professor Dr. Xie, the floor is yours. Professor Dr. Xie, you should unmute yourself.
It's okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Libin. Dear friends, good afternoon. Or in Swiss, good morning. Thank you. Thank Dr. Reyes for his exciting speech. I'm very glad to present my speech here. And oh, sorry. I would like to thank SwissNext, Libin, and Tobia for organizing this wonderful workshop. Today, my presentation is about computational models and their applications in medical imaging engineering. My name is Tianwu Xie. I'm currently a professor of radiation medicine at Fudan University. My research interests are mainly in medical physics, radiation dosimetry, radiation protection, and biomedical engineering. I obtained my PhD degree of biomedical engineering in 2011. This is our collaboration hospital in Geneva, which is also, I think it's one of the biggest hospital in Swiss. They have a lot of buildings, at least. And this is their molecular imaging department, the PET-CT equipment. These guys are our colleagues from our Swiss collaboration team. It's a very international team. I think they have Iranian people, Italian people, Greece people, and Algeria people. It's very international team. Together with our Swiss colleagues, we started this project, as it is well known that preclinical trials and human clinical trials are very important for the development, regulatory approval, and performance evaluation of new medical device and imaging technology. On the left side, the mouse was used for testing new molecular imaging agent. On the right, we can see the MRI, CT, and PET imaging for clinical diagnosis in human body. The rodent and non-human primate are both important laboratory animals. However, there are some problems for preclinical and clinical trials, which may use real patient or animals. For example, you may meet the humanistic and animal rights problem. the cost, the patient recruitment, and time consuming for clinical trials, big problem. And the participated human and animal may exposure to potential risk of harm. So what we can do is try to reduce the usage of animals and the recruitment of patients in these trials. So in this context, we proposed a digital twin system for preclinical and clinical trials. Digital twin concept represent the convergence of the physical and the virtual world, where every object will get a digital representations. In this system consists of 4 major parts: the digital human or animal models, the digital equipment, the simulated dataset or the measured dataset, and we can have different clinical or preclinical applications. For example, you can do radiation dose verification and provide a golden standard dataset for image trials. Our long-term objective would be to build a digital laboratory or digital hospital for the digital lives, but it's a very long future. To achieve our aims, the first challenge would be the digital human or animal models. When talking about digital lives, one may think of it to be like this. It's very fashion, like this in Western world. It's very beautiful. In this TV series, but actually, currently, the computational human phantom used in biomedical engineering researches are mostly like this, this and this. This is the first generation of computational model which use the stylized geometry. This is a second generation which use voxels and matrix, while the third generation use surface representations. However, all these phantoms are still not good enough to represent every individual real people, because you can see physically people, the body of people changes a lot. We can also, in literatures, we can also find some computational animal models, such as mouse model, rat model, or even you can see frog model. We also have tooth, flatfish, and crab. You can see here. All these seafood models I call them seafood models. They were used for evaluating the biological effect of radioactive pollutions in the lake, river, and oceans. For example, you can catch a fish from the Fudan nuclear station to see if it has radiation and evaluate the risks of the radiation activity, active pollution. There are also some mammal models, such as pig. It's a very good pig model, in my view. Deer. This deer model is too simple, which developed by the SRP. And goat model, and you can see here the monkey model. At Fudan University and the Geneva University together, we developed I think it's a really big computational model library. This library includes models for 8 weeks to 38 weeks fetus. We also have a newborn model, children from 1 year to 15 years old. We have pregnant female models from 8 weeks to 38 weeks gestational ages. We have adult male and female models at different ages. So in total, for human, we have more than 1,000 human models in our library. We also have different animal models. This are the rat models at different ages. Here is the rat models at different body mass index. And recently we published a series of non-human primate model at different ages. It's a very good computation model for NHP preclinical trials. Because NHP is the gold standard animal model for evaluating the response of human body to different medicines, owing to the similarities between its organ structure, genome, lifespan, and metabolism with human. So in the second part of our proposed roadmap, we need a digitalized clinical equipment or research environment. Luckily, with the development of simulation technology, we now can construct a detailed medical image or treatment facility in our computer. You can see here in the middle, it's radiation therapy equipment, and at the bottom, we have a simulated electromagnetic environment. With these computational models and digital equipment, we can combine them together. In the simulations, the first figure shows a micropet simulation on mouse model. This figure shows the treatment planning for radiation therapy at a human brain, and this figure you can see the virtual CT imaging trial for pregnant patient. In the next part of my presentation, I would like to introduce some applications we performed before. The first example is skeleton radiation dosimetry for preclinical study. Ionizing radiation may induce leukemia by destroying the stem cells. So you may want to know in preclinical trials, you may want to know the marrow dose in the laboratory animal. So we developed a rat model with detailed skeleton structures to evaluate the radiation dose for bone marrow. You can see the internal distribution of bone marrow, and we have the radiation dose rate. The second example is about virtual preclinical trials for liver cancer therapy. We constructed a rat liver model and compared the radiation dose distribution of different radiopharmaceuticals in rat liver. In this work, we compared the radiation dose for a preclinical patient on the different PET-CT image protocols, because, for example, the North America, the European Union, they use different nuclear medicine imaging protocols. So you may want to know which protocol is better. So we can use our computational models. In this work, we performed virtual clinical trials on pregnant patients for the diagnosis of PCC, and compared the fetal risk from different imaging agents. This work was designed for evaluating the radiation dose for pregnant patient in CT imaging. And we also reported an automatic method for constructing computational patient model by using deep learning method. We used a very simple neural network geometry to do the segmentations, but the dosimetry result is good. By using the proposed system, we can also perform a clinical image simulation. On the left side, we can see the simulated tumor region, and on the right side, we can compare the image quality between the normal dose CT and the low dose CT. That's my presentations. Thank you for your attention. The left side is the beautiful Geneva Lake and the Jadot. the famous Jiadou. The right side is the beautiful Huaitan of Shanghai. So welcome to join our group or be my WeChat friend. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Xie, for the informative talk. Now let's come to the Q&A session. So to our audience, please feel free to leave your questions using the Q&A function. So I see that Professor Dr. Reyes already answered a couple of questions live. So my first question would be for Professor Dr. Reyes. How much of your technology has already been implemented, or how much interest have you received from radiologists or other relevant actors to make practical use of your work, given that in China, like especially in China, strokes are the most frequent cause of death? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Let's say 5 to 6, 7 years ago, I would say there was a lot of skepticism about the use of AI technologies, and there was the impression that radiologists were losing their jobs because they were being replaced. But today, that impression is completely has completely changed. Therefore, the interest is very large. They do see the possibilities of AI systems. We are collaborating with a couple of companies in the translation process of these technologies. This is a very lengthy process due to the certification processes, the clinical trials that are required to test them. And as the technologies evolve, we also need to align with the whole logistics behind. So in the case of Americas, for example, the FDA process needs also now to be adapted to AI technologies that evolve over time. And therefore, there are so many building blocks at the moment when it comes to AI that it is a lengthy process, but I believe people are very much aware of the impact that this can cause for clinical practice. Since few years, we also share our technologies to researchers, and we have over 100 users around the world using the technology for research purposes. Mm-hmm. So from the research point of view also, we are very glad that the people are interested and are using the technologies to answer different research questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Then the next question is for Professor Dr. Xie. According to you, what would be the greatest challenge for computational models at this stage? Is it a lack in computational power, or algorithms that are not powerful enough, or insufficient understanding of the underlying biology? And how do you plan to tackle the challenge, the biggest challenge? Yeah. Thank you. Please, yeah, thank you.
For our current applications, because the construction of computational model requires human manual segmentation. It's very time consuming. So we are now training neural network to do this segmentation to construct computational model automatically. So that's will solve a very big problem for our applications. Yes.
Thank you. Then next question to Professor Dr. Reyes. Can you detail some of the concrete benefits of your technology will have for the patients with strokes or with brain tumors?
Sorry, can you repeat the first part of your question?
Can you detail some of the concrete benefits of your technology? Yeah.
Yeah, for the doctors, I think there is the time saving, time efficiency. Over the last decade, the amount of diagnostic demand has raised to over 1000%. So for doctors, time is so critical. For patients, there is the ultimate improvement of their treatment. So a better treatment of the data is expected to then translate into an improved healthcare. For the hospitals themselves, there is also a financial benefit since due to the time reduction, then there is a efficiency, there's reduction of error-prone, human error-prone issues, and then there is a whole efficiency increase that the hospitals can then see financially. From a society point of view, there are also very nice statements that since doctors are so today busy analyzing the data, that they don't spend enough time with patients. So the hope is that, or one of the main objectives of AI is to remove them from those tedious tasks and allow them to spend more time with the patients.
Thank you for your answer. Yeah. Next question to Professor Dr. Xie. How widespread is the clinical use of the computational models nowadays?
In radiation dosimetry field, it's really widely used. Yeah, because in this topic, it's hardly to use real patient or real human to do experiment. Also for medical image simulation field, there are many computational models are used to obtain a simulated image, because the computational phantom can give you a true value for the image.
Okay, thank you. Then Professor Dr. Reyes, you mentioned during your presentation of interpretability of AI being a significant challenge. Can you expand on these challenges, and can you tell us why do they arise, and to what extent can we still improve interpretability? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So interpretability of AI systems comes from the high complexity of current AI systems. There is a trade-off between performance and explainability or interpretability. So these systems are performing very well. They can be very accurate at the cost of complexity. Now, when we incorporate a new technology into a treatment of a patient or into a clinical workflow, we need to make sure that that system is safe, that can be also audited, that we understand if decisions are not coming from a bias. And we do see findings where many AI systems can be actually be biased due to the training data they are built on. So these issues and some others have now raised questions about how do we actually make sure that we understand enough such that the systems can then be used in practice and in a safe manner. Now, the challenges there is to first develop the methods to raise the interpretability such that humans, we can validate those systems, that we have enough tools to audit them, to benchmark them, and not only from a performance level, but from a safety level. So in many other domains, like in finances, in businesses, AI systems are still not used because it's not possible to interpret the decisions of the system. And in medicine, although we see a lot of potential, we also need to be sure that the systems are safe and there are no risks involved. So challenges for the future now is first that to develop those methods, validate them, and then incorporate them such that doctors then can actually also question the system, an AI system, saying, I want to know why that decision was taken by the AI systems. And I think in that dialogue we are starting right now. And the good news is that radiologists or the imaging community is very open and it's very aware of this necessity.
Okay. Thank you very much for the answer. To Professor Dr. Xie, can you tell us more about your collaboration with the Geneva University Hospital? You mentioned that you have a very international team, members are coming from different nations. And what are the secrets behind your successful collaboration?
In my opinion, the collaboration between two different groups really rely on the complementarity, because in Switzerland they have very good clinical experimental conditions, and so we can complement each other's advantages to prove our to push our project. It's very good for our collaborations.
Thank you. Then a similar question to Professor Dr. Reyes. Can you tell us more about your collaboration with the Chinese AI startup Malong Technologies? How did it come about, and how did it look like? Who contributed which insights in this collaboration? And do you have any future joint efforts in the pipeline? Thank you.
Yeah. The CEO of the company came to Switzerland, and he showed me the vision he had. I discovered very quickly that they were at top of the line. They were this extremely talented group coming from the computer vision domain, and their vision is we would like to make contributions in medicine now. And therefore we need that expertise, and that's where I came into play with my experience working with medical images. Then we work on a vision, we work on a way of working, we work on objectives and a roadmap. I visited them last year. I met the entire team. And again, I could confirm the high quality of the work they do and their engagement. The plans now for the future is to continue doing, on one side, the research aspects together. What I show you, move those prototypes into now testing. And there's where I said it's a lengthy path that requires also a multidisciplinary effort. And that's where we are today. Companies also evolve, and I'm very happy to see also the visions from Malong in jumping into questions that are related but also very important. So the sponsorship of the interpretability workshop was something that was not planned before, something that appeared during the developments, during the collaboration, and that also shows their interest to be active in all those critical questions that appear as we develop the technologies. Malong created a Malong branch in Switzerland, so there exists a Malong Switzerland since a year ago, and now the hope and the plans is that we can then hone those initiatives, and we can then grow into that plan. I show where we have the collaboratory between University of Bern and Malong.
Thank you. Then next question to Professor Dr. Xie. Do you think that there will be a possibility that we will be able to fully simulate the functions of the real animals, like taking rats, for example? which means when we'll be able to do all the clinical trials using computational models?
It's a good question. In my opinion, we still have a very long way to go to this point because it's very hard to simulate biology and physiology process in computers. Currently, we are mostly simulating physical process. So if there are still so many unknowns in biology and physiology for human body and animal body. If I guess, maybe at least 1 century, we can do better. Hopefully we can simulate the real animal or human. Yeah.
Thank you. Then a similar question to Professor Dr. Reyes. How much potential is there for AI-enhanced processing of MRI imaging? What future breakthroughs can you envision given the current technology?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I believe that technologies, all technologies have limits. And therefore we need to understand those limits and then move on with either new technologies or empower the existing ones to overcome those limitations. In the case of AI, at the moment, we are at a place where we call it associational modeling. So we have a system that receives an input and we train the system to provide an output. I believe that breakthroughs in the future are coming when the systems are able to understand cause and effect. So what's the theory of causality is called. So systems today are not fully able to describe cause effect. And I believe that breakthroughs in AI would start, or big breakthroughs would start happening when causality, the cause effect phenomena, can be modeled directly in AI, in the current AI systems or in new ones. As I said, maybe we need a complete new framework to be able to do that. With the current technology, what kind of breakthroughs we can do? I hope we can start seeing patients that are recovering. In the case of a stroke, I hope that patients can quickly be treated and we see the impact. In case of brain tumors, that we can actually use AI to understand the disease itself as well, and we can personalize the treatment. I think this is one of the hopes, that we go from population-based analysis into a personalized analysis, including simulations. Therefore, so we have a more personalized treatment, a more personalized diagnostic. Breakthroughs are coming. We see therapies that are now, we are sort of becoming better at doing that. We see overall survivals improving. And I hope that with AI, we can accelerate that to a point where we can actually say we can stagnate a disease for way longer than today, where we actually not yet there.
Okay. Then we have another question from the audience, from Yao Huang. Hello, Professor Xie and Professor Reyes. Thanks for your excellent presentations. I want to know that is AI technology helpful for researchers and doctors to solve incurable diseases such as cancer or HIV? If so, in which ways will it help?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Professor Dr. Reyes, you first.
I can start. Yeah, that's also my hope, that we can get to a point where we say we help in curing those incurable cancers. I personally work with glioblastomas. This is an incurable type of tumor with an overall survival of about 13 months. It's the most aggressive type of brain tumor. And I have seen over the years how the overall survival is increasing, and patients still die. But my hope is that with AI, we can better mine the data. Before many clinical trials, we were evaluating clinical trials with very simplified tools. So radiologists would look at the images and would assess the tumor progression in a rather rough manner. The hope is that now, with the whole set of imaging plus the technology or the processing we can do on the images, we can better assess whether that therapy is working or not, is progressing or not, and we can actually detect that progression in an early manner. So today, the technology sometimes has limitations where we have to wait for some time until we can observe something. And that's one of, for example, of added value of nuclear medicine, where we see that some changes to the disease happen before, and we can observe them before they actually happen at the structural level, where we see it in the MRI. And there are now studies showing that we can do a thorough analysis of that pixel data, of those images, to try to do an early detection of disease progression. It's very challenging because we need to develop the technologies using the imaging technologies that are also currently proposed by vendors. So in that scenario, in that universe, we also need to hope that the imaging acquisition, imaging generation technologies also improve, such that the data also improves for us to process in a better manner. So I really hope that we can get to a point where we can say we arrive to the point where we cure the disease.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Xie.
Because we are in radiation medicine, so actually for radiation therapy plan, it's AI technology help for a lot for doctors, because you need to, for the treatment of cancer, if you use radiation therapy, you need to identify the position of the tumor to solve a big problem, to show the machines how to inject the radiation particles. So you can use AI to do this kind of calculations and simulations for radiation therapy plan. Currently, in radiation medicines, this has been a lot of companies are working on this, and I have seen hospitals are using this method to do radiation therapy plan. Yeah, hopefully we can have more advances for the treatment of the cancer. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, due to time constraints, we'll have to end the Q&A session. So thank you very much to Professor Dr. Reyes and Professor Dr. Xie for your availability in joining us in today's webinar and sharing your deep insights of your latest research development, and also share the best practices of Sino-Swiss joint efforts. So I would like you to kindly say goodbye to our audience. And I really look forward to hosting you in our next event in the near future. Yeah. Thank you.
From my side, thank you
Thanks
everyone for the invitation. It's been a pleasure sharing with you and discussing these works. And it's really an honor to work with such talented groups of people. And I also I encourage everyone to network with us if you're interested in these topics. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Then if you have more questions, please send them to the email address on this slide. We will transmit the questions to our speakers and give their feedback to you. You are also more than welcome to scan the QR code and follow us on our social media platform. Thank you very much for your active participation, and looking forward to meeting you in our next events. Thank you.